What is up? Good morning. Happy Saturday. I am so glad that you're all with me today. And if you're watching this later on, if you're not watching this live, then put a comment down below and say hello, say that you were here, say something that you're grateful for. I would love, love, love to hear what you guys have to say and be able to reply and kind of communicate back and forth that way. So for all of you watching live, happy Saturday morning. I am so proud of you for getting up super early with me. What are you drinking this morning? I am drinking water as always. I feel bad because I actually do drink coffee in the morning. Wow, my chair squeaks. I do drink coffee in the morning, but I got up this morning really, really early and I was like, Katie, you've got time to make yourself a nice cup of coffee and be ready to go. So I go to my Keurig and I put my pot in and I lower the lid and the screen says water pressure incorrect, perform needle maintenance if necessary, or something like that. And I was like, I just want a nice warm cup of coffee. I don't want to have to do needle surgery on my Keurig. So that was me this morning. So I had to default to water, which is great, but also not warm and good and like flavorful. It's very cold here in Michigan. We had a huge, huge dump of snow this week. And so, like, I'm feeling very nostalgic about warm things and, like blankets. And dare I say it, I have even recommended watching Christmas movies in the dead of February. So, Katie's a little weird over here. Katie is a little weird. So, okay, I, there's so many things that I think of when I think about my people on YouTube and my people in my business and the people all around me. But oftentimes, what I see is this story that we tell ourselves when things get anxious, like when we get anxious, when we get distracted, when we get overwhelmed, when we get frustrated, when we get angry and fearful. There's a story that we tell ourselves that is very, very different from the person we are when we are confident, when we are determined, when we are focused in what we are doing. And I want to share that with you, not only in my life, but also some practical things that we can start doing to, one, recognize when that story is coming up, and two, be able to identify what is the truth. What is the truth in the moment? Because I can tell you from being a very like all or nothing kind of girl, oftentimes I am telling myself a story in the midst of a situation, an event, an emotion. I am telling myself a story that is not reality. It's like, I've told you this before, but it's sort of like, you're jumping off the cliff before you've even gotten onto the cliff. Like you are just telling yourself you are done for, this isn't going to work before you've even started the project. And so this comes into our business, this comes into our relationships with people. Oftentimes, I get to work on this. We assume or we put our overwhelm and our fear and our anxiety and our frustration on other people before they even said anything to us. We assume that the tone that they're using is unkind or meaning something else besides what they actually said. You get what I'm saying. We've all been there where we felt overwhelmed and we're starting to tell ourselves this story that no one likes me. I'm not good enough. I don't have skill sets. Like, I don't have the things that I really need to do to get this started, or I'm not where I want to be yet. Or, like in our businesses and as content creators, all of you here on YouTube who are running channels, like you may be telling yourself a story that says, I am not original. I am not unique. I am not special. I am not skilled enough for people to want to watch me. I am not well versed enough for people to stick around. And let me tell you, you may be feeling that way right now, or you may be looking back and saying, Katie, I remember that time. And I want to speak to that person who's in the midst of this right now first, because that person needs this. And let me tell you, you need to look inside of yourself and say, what is actual truth? What has actually already taken place that is frustrating me? And how can I problem solve my way out of it? Because let me tell you, there is always a solution to your problem. And it may not be the one that you expect. It may not even be the one that you initially want, but there is always a solution to a problem. So when we're making decisions, when we're choosing things, when we're having to deal with hard stuff in our life, we get to that point where we are overwhelmed and frustrated, but there is always a solution. There's always a way to get through that thing, whatever it is. And so as you're in the midst of frustration and overwhelm and you're doing these big things and you feel like they're too big and you are too small, let me tell you, growth is a part of your future. It is a part of your present, and it has been a part of your past. And you get to grow into those big, awesome, cool projects that you are doing. You get to grow into the excitement of trying something new. You get to grow into the endurance and determination to stick to something that you have committed to doing. And it is in you, and you can do it. And is there going to be overwhelm and frustration? Yes. Because if you talk to any business owner, any millionaire, any super successful person out there who has built a dynasty for themselves and for their community, they will tell you, guess what? You always get to level up. You are always going to feel overwhelmed. You're always going to hit that wall and say, I need to level up here. And that will never, ever stop. So as you're creating your business, your YouTube channel, your social media platforms, as you are building this community around you, you always get to level up. You always get to level up. There is always a level that you can hit that will level up your leadership, that will help you to control your emotions and your overwhelm and your frustration. You have it inside of you to get it done, to problem solve. Things are not too big for you. Okay, so that is what I'm telling those of you who are in the midst of it. For those of you who are like, Katie, I remember a time where I was like this. I can see it coming in the future. What do I do to prevent this? What do I do to stop getting overwhelmed and frustrated all the time? And for you, I would say, listen, we get to detect those things in the midst of them, but also before they happen. Let me tell you a story that will illustrate this. So when I was in the middle of running my summit in December, my virtual conference in December, I had a really hard time committing to getting out all of my emails. And let me tell you, when you are doing an interview-based conference, there are going to be plenty of people that tell you no. And some of them validly. Some of them are like, I just don't have the time to do it right now. And some of them are like, I just don't want to be here. And so you're going to have tons of people that tell you no. And for me, I was getting really discouraged and overwhelmed by the idea that I would not have enough people for my conference. Yet I was telling myself a story before it even happened. And instead of getting overwhelmed and frustrated to the point that I did not get those emails out, that I just canceled the conference and said, okay, I quit. Instead of doing that, even though I procrastinated and I got stressed and overwhelmed and let those emotions control me, I got to the point where I said, Katie, you've got to do this, because if you can't do this now, you will never do this. And so I sent out 100 emails over a weekend. That may sound like a lot. That may sound like a little to you. For one person, and this was their first time really sending out tons and tons of emails, this was difficult for me. But what I want you to hear in this story is I was telling myself a story before it even took place. And you may be telling yourself a story right now that is sending you into overwhelm, that is sending you into frustration. You may be telling yourself a story that is setting yourself up for disappointment, that is putting way too high expectations on yourself, or maybe that is putting way too low expectations on others. Maybe it's putting way too low expectations on you, and you know that you can do better than that. So for a lot of you who are on my email list, I know that you are all over the place in what you do. I have a lot of content creators. I have a lot of product-based business owners and services. Like, a lot of you are trying to branch out and do different things along with what you already have. And so I want to commend you for having big ideas and big aspirations. But I also want you to keep an eye out for those stories that get told, because you are the one telling them. And you also get to be the one to change those stories. My mom and I were talking about this the other day. I used to be, and I still am, and I get to work on that, but I've seen a massive shift. I used to be a very all or nothing kind of girl. So if something didn't go the way I expected or wanted it to go, I would say, nope, this isn't for me, and I'm done. So if I didn't win that race with my boys, with my with my brothers, not my boys, if I didn't, I was very like athletic and I loved hanging out with my brothers when I was little. And so if I didn't win that race, I would quit before I even was finished. If I didn't beat them at that sport, then I would just quit before I even finished. I was like, if it's not going to be the way I want it to be, then I'm done. Then it's not happening. And the problem with that is that when you set a goal and when you set something that is important to you, or when you commit to doing something that is important to you, guess what? The results that you are expecting, the outcome that you are expecting, will not be exactly what you think. There's always going to be problems and changes and adjustments and things that go wrong that you don't expect. I mean, almost every time I turn on a live, there's always something that goes wrong. Oh, my audio went out. Oh, my video isn't working. Or, like, oh, my lighting went out, or something's just not connecting. Like, there's always something. It doesn't matter how many times you practice. There will always be those areas where you will get overwhelmed and frustrated. But it is your choice, I promise you. You are the one telling the story, and it is your choice to do something about it. It's your choice to take what you're doing right now or prepare for what you're going to do. Get in there, do it messy, make mistakes, and get it done. And in turn, what will happen is your leadership will level up, your responsibility will level up, and your ability to problem solve and figure stuff out will also level up in the midst of that. And so I know a lot of you are doing really, really cool big things, and you may not even look at it that way. You may be like, Katie, this is something I'm excited about, but it's really not that big of a deal. Listen, that is a story that you tell. You are telling me that this is important, but it's not. So I want you to change how you're talking to yourself, to your people, and really, really think about those times where you get overwhelmed, you get frustrated. I want you to look at those and say, have I been telling myself a story that I'm going to fail before I'm even finished? Really, really, I think it's such a interesting thing. And I see Alan's commenting. I totally missed it. Hello, Alan. Oh, yes. I love how everyone can talk about things like around the same time. So I love that you're on here and you're like, that's awesome. Yeah. And for me in my life, I've had a lot of moments where, like, understandably, I've been overwhelmed, whether it was like physical or emotional or educational, like in all the different spheres, I've had spaces where I've been overwhelmed and frustrated. And here's what happens if you don't control it, you don't get through it, you don't tell yourself, I can figure this out. Here's what happens. It sends you into not only mental exhaustion, but physical exhaustion. Not dealing with your overwhelm and your frustration will send you into mental and physical exhaustion. I've been there. I've done that. I've done it multiple times. And finally, I'm like, Katie, why do you have to learn this lesson over and over again? But guess what? We get to learn this lesson every time we level up. Every time we're doing something new, we've upped our leadership, we've upped our responsibility. We get to learn these things all over again. We get to set boundaries, we get to set our rest time, we get to be intentional about what we're doing, and we also get to be intentional about the story that we are telling ourselves. I say story because I think that it's fictional. It's not true. And it's so, so important for us to get that right. For us to realize that the stories we're telling ourselves are just stories. They are fictional. They're not a part of our future unless we allow them to be. I love that the morning that I was almost late for you guys, I had a dream that night that I was going to be late, that I woke up late and I was not on time for you guys. And I realized that, it was my second time doing my 6 a.m. show. I was tired. I stayed up too late. and I wasn't mentally prepared for being here and showing up. And, I didn't do the things that I could do and that I should have done to make sure I got here on time. So now, just so you know, I have a 5 a.m. alarm clock, I have a 5:20 alarm clock, and I have a 5:30 alarm. All three of those go off at those times just in case I don't get up for the first one or the second one. So I'm going to show up every single Saturday for you guys. Don't want to miss even one. And, you may be in the middle of something right now and you feel like it's not that big, or maybe people aren't watching. I mean, I think about this live stream. Sometimes I don't have any of you show up in the morning, and I totally get it because a lot of you are like, I had a long weekend, like a long week, and some of you just don't want to, and some of you, are in different time zones. And so I sit here and I say, is this important? Is this valuable? Does this even like make a change for anyone? And then I go back and watch how many people go back and watch. And I look at those numbers and I say, it's got to impact at least one of those people. And if it impacts even one person this morning or this afternoon or later in the week when someone else watches this, like, I'm speaking to you right now. I am so grateful that you are here and that you are watching and investing into something that is going to be encouraging, into content that will benefit you and help you tell a true story of yourself. Because that's really what I want this to be. This is a space where you get to work on telling a truer story. And I promise you, what is true gets to constantly be better. What is true in your life gets to constantly get better. So I hope that, right in the middle of all of this, I hope that you can actually take some pieces of content and take some kind of nuggets today and look at how you are telling a story to yourself and what kind of story you're telling, and really analyze the emotions and the frustration around that story so you can say, Katie, this was not true and it's not going to be true, and I can figure this out and I can get this done. And that's really genuinely what I want to hear from you as you move forward, is that, Katie, like, I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm not going to let this overwhelm me. So I want to tell you something really, really special and really exciting. And I haven't told that many people yet, but I want to tell you guys, we are going to have a second round of Unlock the Creative Entrepreneur. And that is the live virtual conference that I did in December. And this is a space where you get to work on telling a story that is better, telling a true story that is better. This is a space where you get expert advice, you get to ask questions, you get to participate, and you get to put all of this information and all of these amazing people who are giving you so much wisdom. You get to take all of this and apply it to your business, to that big idea you want to do, to that YouTube channel that you're working on. This is a conference that is like no other, and it is absolutely amazing. Last year, we had so many incredible speakers come and talk with you guys about different areas of business. And this year, we're going to do it, and it's going to be, yes, I did. I was in December mode the other day when I was talking to somebody, and I was like, no, it's in February. So it's February 25th to the 27th. And the easiest way that you can like sign up for it is I will like put a link down below. In fact, I should have done this already. I wasn't planning on telling you this yet. But the easiest way to sign up is to go to www.unlockthecreativeentrepreneur.com. I will put it down below. But if you go there, that will be your sign up. That'll be your opt-in registration page. You can go sign up there. You can get some replays if you want to. You can get some VIP packages, whatever you want to do, wherever you feel like you're going to get the most benefit, go do that. And I don't want this to be like pitchy and salesy. So I want to end with the fact that there are amazing resources in our life. And I say pitchy and salesy, except that I 100% believe in this conference and believe that you will benefit from it. So like, some of you may look at this video and say, okay, you're being pitchy about this. But the reason I want to share these things with you is because I'm so excited about the results that you will get from these conferences and from these workshops and from being on my email list and from getting encouragement. every Saturday morning, I feel passionate. I feel so convinced that this is where I'm supposed to be to benefit you, and this is where it's at. This is where you get the encouragement, the motivation. This is where it's at. So to end, as you are pursuing your weekend, as you are going into next week and you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and irritated about all the things you need to do, I want you to really, really look at what are the things that are creating that overwhelm, and how can you start building a truer, better story, a true, like literally telling yourself the truth and then saying, I can grow, I can solve, I can get better at this. I can get better at this. And that is 100% what is like so missing in the world of beginner entrepreneurs, because a lot of you are just starting off and you're feeling like this is not what I expected it to be. And honestly, if you are not loving your life right now and you feel miserable, then maybe you need to try something else. You need to have the courage and the guts to try something else. But otherwise, you need to put in that work and get it done, because all of this is hard work. But what's going to make it worse is telling yourself an untrue story before you've even started. And what's going to make it better is really being honest with yourself about where the overwhelm is coming from and dealing with it, getting it done. So I want to know in the comments, if you're watching live, tell me. If you are watching afterward, comment down below and tell me what's landing for you. Where are the areas in your life that you feel overwhelmed? Is it your business? Is it your personal life, your relationships? Is it, the big ideas that you have coming up? Is it that job that you don't like? Like, where are you feeling overwhelmed? And what is one thing that you can start doing right now to start moving in the right direction, to start getting a better perspective about life and about what's going on in your life? So if you're watching this after it's live, comment down below and tell me, what is the thing that you're getting overwhelmed about? And what's one thing that you can think of right now that will help solve that and get over that? So I say so many times. I hope that you have an awesome Saturday afternoon. And I just want to say this one last thing to you, to really give you encouragement and motivation and the thing that you need right now. And that is, there is so much potential in you. You right now watching, there is so much potential in you. There is so many things that you are amazing at, and you may not see it yet, but it's there. And so I want you to fall in love with the idea of growth, because growth is always there for the taking. Growth is always there. It's always that opportunity that stretches you. Growth is something that changes you. I want you to fall in love with that feeling. That means change. Sometimes that means stretching. Sometimes that means like being flexible, which aren't fun sometimes. But that is what is going to push you forward into living that potential, not just looking at it, not just saying, what if? Because honestly, I've met those people who all I can say is they had a lot of potential, but they never actually did anything about it. So your encouragement for today is, don't let that be out there. Don't let that just be a statistic. Don't let that just be, they had potential, but they didn't do anything about it. I want you to do something about it this week. So I hope that, Alan, you're very welcome. I'm glad you stuck on for the whole time. You are awesome. I know last week you're like, I woke up late. No. Yeah, it's one of those things that I just felt really, really compelled to share with you today, because I see so many of you struggling, and I find those times where I struggle, and it's a good reminder, even if you're not in the middle of it, to really get out of your head and to look at what is true and to move forward. That's what I want for you. So if you are still on this video, definitely hit that like button, share if you have someone in your life that needs to hear this, and subscribe if you haven't already. I've had a ton of you subscribe off these videos, which just touches my heart so much. So totally, if you are not subscribed, go subscribe. And I will see you all. I will see you all next Saturday, but I will probably see you sooner than that if you're on my email list or you are connected with me on socials. So I love you all very, very much. I'm here supporting you. I am cheering for you. I am just so excited for the amazing things that you are all doing. And I just want you to know that there is someone out here cheering for you and believes in your ability and your skills and what you can do. So I hope you all have an absolutely amazing, amazing Saturday. Take the information, take the motivation that you've heard today, and build something with it. Get it done. Let this change you. Let this change you. All right. Have an awesome, awesome Saturday. Love you all. And I will see you next time.